Go.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. As always, how do I sound?
Right. They say they can hear you, but you're a little quiet.
I'm a little quiet. Not trying to be quiet. I think my voice has recovered from Dragon Con, so it may be an issue on our end. Max, do you see anything?
We can move the mic closer.
I don't think the mic could get much closer without it getting way too close. Yeah,
That comfortable?
that's fine.
All right.
Just stay back, Mike. You know. Sound better? Sound worse?
JD says the volume is good here.
Okay. So hey, it's been a couple weeks since I've done this. Today will be a relatively short one. Still have a bunch of things to do. We have a lot to get ready for the weekend, and let's just go right into the top 10ish. So first and foremost, this has been one of those weeks where we've got a lot done, but a lot of it isn't actually anything that you're going to see. So we'll talk about the implications of it. It's all good. It's just not like, hey, we did this and you can see it in this game. Hey, we did this and you can see it in the game. Hey, we did this, and frankly, you shouldn't see anything if we did it right. So number one, even though it's not a thing we did on the top 10ish, first thing on the top 10ish, even though it isn't something we did, is weekend test. We do indeed hope to have one weekend test this weekend. We'll send out an email informing you folks of where and when. It's mostly going to be an authentication test. What's an authentication test? Those of you who have not been to the forums or who have not read your email might ask. Authentication is number 2 on the top 10ish, and it's a security system. It's something that we have been working on for many months. It's something that we originally hoped to have deployed for the opening of Beta 1, but since we kind of set that schedule for ourselves and never talked about it publicly, because after all, the first rule of authentication systems is you don't talk about authentication systems, it didn't really matter to you all if we had it done before Beta 1 or after Beta 1. So it's in there now. We've been testing all week. We want to test over the weekend. There'll be instructions about what to do. Not a particularly exciting test, but a kind of important one. We think we've nailed it. JB and Matt and others have done a really good job on this. But, you know, we really want you folks to come in, test it, 15, 20, 25, half hour, all that, and then you can leave. You can hang around if you want and do other things, but we really need you to help stress test the authentication system. Number 3, another thing that you guys will not have any idea that is happening is proxy migration. Now, what does that mean? It simply means, hey, we're not using this proxy, let's shut it down. Or, hey, we got to move these people over to another proxy. You know, you can also hear it called host migration, proxy migration. Same basic idea. Colin's been working on some improvements, so that is already in review right now. Number 4, another tech item, stability visualization. So what does that mean? That's a way to look at the amount of force that's been put upon a block. So when we're looking to figure out if our new and improved, we hope, stability system is actually working properly, that's how we can do it with colored blocks. Plus, it takes us back to our childhood, so, you know, not a bad thing. Number 5 is an odd item, destructible deathmatch castle. So, hey, first step into having meaningful siege is actually being able to have something that can be siegeable or destroyable or damageable. And thanks to the Builders Brigade and Caleb and Rob, we have been, and Dion, we've been building out pieces to test an actual destroyable castle. We've never had that, obviously. We've had destroyable buildings, and we've had the castle for the deathmatch, but never combined the two. So we're going to Voltron them together, and we should hopefully be testing that with you folks within the next couple weeks. Number 6 is a design item. So Ben is finishing up his first pass on the Fire Warden and all mage skills. So, yay, mages. You guys wanted it next. I wanted it next. You'll be seeing that as the next class to come into Beta 1. Max is nodding his head, so apparently he wanted it too.
I'm really excited about mages.
Number 7, another tech item, portals visually display status. So, you know, that's a fairly obvious thing. We want portals to show, hey, are they working? Are they not working? You know, so that's something we need done so people don't keep running into portals and going, hey, this is broken. No, it's not broken. It's just not activated. Well, why don't you have something that tells us that, they say. Well, obviously we were going to, but, you know, now we'll get it in shortly. Number 8, item update batching, progression tracking, and item logs. So this has been Christina, another week for Christina to jump around and do a bunch of different things. And so these are the bunch of different things. Number 9, some art. Again, concept art, as a matter of fact. Helmets. Sandra, you know, only did 7 pages of helmet concepts for us to look at. So we're going to be looking at 7 pages of helmet concepts for the game. Isn't that awesome? 7 pages of concepts. And it's not like, oh, look, it's 1 per page. No, it's a lot of friggin' helmets. We'll definitely put some of them up, you know, on an update so you folks can see just, you know, the kind of great work she does. Number 10, work in progress, pauldrons. So, you know, speaking of overachieving, John has been working through his pauldrons, and now we have high and low poly modeling for over 27 different pauldrons. So for those who are worried that there wouldn't be a lot of choice in the game and choice of armor and weapons, no, there will be. Number 11, Characters 2.0 proportions. So what does that mean? So we've looked at the characters. We have been talking about this for many months, though not recently. We talked about it last year. Looking at the models, making them a bit more heroic, making them look better, you know, looking at just improving the overall look of the game, as we said we were going to be doing. Well, that has been happening, and next week we are going to be doing even more with that to get some better looking and new models into the game. Number 12 is similar to that, topology. Now, this is the art team, particularly the animators, have been talking about changes to the way we build our characters, which will allow us to do better looking animations. And so that is also happening. Number 13, animation improvements. While we're on the subject of animation, Scott has been wrapping up some prototyping work to improve the look of animations. We've said right from the beginning that first the animations that were in there, total placeholders. Then as we had the new animation system in and we were doing new animations for that, we were going to continue to improve on them. Well, this is just another step along the way. Number 14, another work in progress, SFX and music. So just as we're doing animations and modeling 2.0 or characters 2.0, we're now doing things for DB to do essentially music 2.0. So whether it is mixing current tracks or importing new combat music, etc., time to kick it up a notch as well with our music. And last but not least, work in progress, VFX and writing and lighting. Oh boy, I still haven't recovered from Dragon Con, apparently. Boy, did I talk a lot there. Oh my God. Between the panels and everything else, it was, you know, nonstop blah, blah, blah for me. Though it was fun. So Mike did some ordering this week of lighting values because of our approved lighting changes. So what does that mean? So you guys saw it in the last test. We're going to continue to improve the lighting model. Like I've said from the beginning, we're going to improve everything graphically. It's just a matter of where we're going to stop, and we haven't stopped yet, and we're not even close to stopping. So what you see now, I hope you like, but don't get too attached because it's going to get better. So 4:10, about. So let's go to questions, and I would love to try to wrap this up by 4:30, folks.
All right. List your questions. Let's see. Oldvic passes along a question from MeHuge. MeHuge asks, with the progression system coming to life, can you tell us any more about how crafting progression will work?
Similar to combatant progression, you'll have to do certain things. As you use your skills, you'll get better at the skills. You'll have the ability to, do the equivalent of bounties for the king of your realm. I've talked about that before, to improve as well your skills and your realm standing. So, just the same. You don't want to say it's exactly the same, of course, because you don't actually have to go in and kill other players like combatants do. But it's the same basic idea. Can you help your realm? If you help your realm, you will be rewarded for helping your realm. It is like the combatants, however, you have to use your abilities to get better at them. So crafters who want to improve their ability, to fletch, will actually have to fletch. If you want to earn realm points, realm rewards, you have to do things for the realm, supply the king with items, help out your fellow realm mates, etc.
Das LP Shop asks, when do we get a Dragon Con video, and how was it?
It was mixed. Not the video, not what we did. So what happened is we got there, and there were some technical issues. Like, nothing worked. The mics worked. But unfortunately, the lines from our laptops to the screens, they were broken. So here we are. We got there early, started setting up early. Nothing worked. Called, Dragon Con tech support, essentially, in to try to help. And they got there as soon as they could, because after all, they're running, a huge con, and that's not easy. And by the time they got there, we were just about starting the panel. And so, we had a show on the not great monitors, and we had a show on the projection screen, so that didn't look as good. And then during the presentation, I'm doing the presentation, or Ben's doing the presentation, and then I'm doing a little of it, and the frame rate is just awful. I mean, it was way below what I expected, and we can't figure out why. I mean, it certainly looks like the servers are working fine. The reports from the UI looked good. What we think happened is there was an extra client that had been left there when we were having starts and stops. Hang on a sec. Yes. Just got an update from Tim, so good update, yay. We're going to be opening up Nawada Prep for alpha shortly, and running a 1200 bot test. So even more reason for me to get done with this on time, because I want to jump in that as well. And so frame rate wasn't great, and I didn't understand why on my laptop. So as soon as I got back to my room and I opened up the laptop again, and there was still the client, I'm like, oh, damn. And I then came back to the office, and being anal, when I got back on Tuesday, I immediately had to, Tim spin up a bot test so I could try it from here with the same exact number of bots. And yeah, the frame rate was almost 2.5 times what it was. So, shows happen, stuff happens at shows. Not the end of the world, certainly. And since you all have come in and seen a lot more than 500, I think it was 540 bots in there, and have great frame rates, I wasn't really worried about it. I thought maybe, yeah, the other, and by the way, the other explanation could have been that the power cord wasn't fully in the laptop, or that power supply was dead. Not in the laptop, but the one we hooked into, which would have put the laptop on power saving mode, which would have accounted for the less than great performance. But it's fine now, so all is well. Oh, and by the way, people were happy, and we were chatting with backers, and some good questions, including one that was set up by a friend of Andrew's and mine, who came there just to harass us a little, which was great. Love that.
Real Life Gabo asks, will each building material have different densities that affect stability?
Well, if you want to go up to a block and say, "You are my density," feel free. Sorry. Come on.
I just don't know why you went there.
Well, because density, and that's, Back to the Future. So,
yeah, I get it.
Anyway, yeah, blocks. The question we actually discussed this over lunch, as a matter of fact. How's that for timing? The question is going to be, how complicated can we be with individual blocks? How many different variants of blocks can we have out there? And that's something we're working on. Obviously, we're going to have lots and lots of them. How far it will go, whether it will be by density specifically, or by just a bunch of pre-baked variants on blocks based on qualities, is still to be determined.
Scorepost67 asks, a while back there was some discussion about tier/package changes possibly coming our way this month. Do you have any updated information on that subject?
Yeah, one of these days. Yes, they're still coming. Yes, they're going to be exactly the same. Life stuff. Max had a baby. Well, actually, his wife had a baby. Max just kind of stood there, probably, and
you weren't there. You don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I know one thing. You didn't have the baby.
That's what you think.
Yeah. Okay. Video, or it's not true. Okay. If I don't see the YouTube, your wife had the baby. So yes, we're still looking to do that. Hopefully this month. It's just a question of time. We've really been focusing everything we can, including art resources, on pushing into beta and pushing out new versions for beta, and that's still going to be the priority. Mainly because it's all tied in with the exact same event, which is when we can start streaming, and we can also say, as we've said before, that the refund policy will change for new backers. So we want it all to be there in front of people, so they can't come back and say, "Hey, MJ, why didn't you tell us about this?" Well, I did. And we want to make sure it's all ready, so when we do roll it out, it's all ready at the same time.
Kaladex asks, you mentioned giving us an expanded list of abilities for all 30 classes. Do you still plan on doing that? If so, when should we expect those reveals?
Oh my God, absolutely. And by the way, glad the laptop issue is solved, right? Thanks for your help on this as well, and your patience. That was obviously very appreciated. In terms of the 30, yeah, we're going to give you guys and gals all the information we can about that. We don't care. It's not a matter of trying to keep things secret. It's pointless, especially considering that we're only in beta 1. You're going to have time to find it out anyway, so in terms of things like the different abilities, why try to hide it? So no, we're absolutely going to be doing that reveal as we prep new classes. So expect Mage's abilities. We'll be, of course, first.
George Coffey on the YouTube chat asks, what other precautions against hacking are you taking outside of the physics engine, or do you think physics will be enough as the only or primary defense?
It's one of the defenses. Is it an important one? Absolutely. Look, the bottom line is, when you put physics, or you allow anything really important from a gameplay perspective to be determined by the client, then bad things can happen, because no matter what we think, hackers are always going to be smarter than us. They will get used to it. This applies to whether you're us, whether you're Blizzard, whether you're Activision. Hackers will always outsmart us. One of the best ways to prevent that, of course, is putting the code and the calculations in a place that is a lot harder to hack. Is it impossible? Of course not. People can, find a way to hack servers. It happens, unfortunately, all the time. But we certainly have made it harder. Are there other things we're going to do? Absolutely. And are doing, as a matter of fact. Absolutely. No guarantees, but one thing I can guarantee, if you put everything on the client, worse is going to happen. So we think the system we have will be certainly better than average. We hope it will be great. But, look, you can never be complacent when it comes to hacking. Because, again, they're smarter than you, or there's a heck of a lot more of them, than you.
Jack Mode asks, for authentication testing, does it help to log in multiple times, or just stay logged in and AFK?
Yeah, you'll have all the instructions. You'll be doing that. You'll be creating characters, deleting characters, trading, leaving your character AFK for a while, all that stuff. Anything that could cause our servers to lose track of you, essentially. Or worse, which we haven't seen yet, which is great, think you're someone else. That's always the fears with any of these games, whether you're a small multiplayer game or a massively multiplayer game. So hopefully we got it the first time. So far so good, but once again, complacency, not a good thing.
Mr. Peace 84 asks, how will the game handle client desync and packet loss? Is the player going to be dropped right away when they happen, or do they stay connected and eventually catch up?
Great question. So the way the game is built, we can catch up pretty quickly. Some of you folks have seen things where we've had great pauses, and then all of a sudden, whoop, you see us catching up frame by frame. So it certainly will not be automatic. How quickly you'll get discoed, that's not actually a discussion I've been a part of right now, up to now. We'll figure it out. That's nothing I'm worried about.
Psycho Buzz asks, question, when is beta going to be accessible full-time?
Beta 1? Beta 1 is never going to be accessible full-time. We have been very clear about that right from the beginning. This is Beta 1, not Beta 2, not Beta 3. Beta 1 was never, just like Dark Age of Camelot, Warhammer, and almost every MMO created before, Western MMO especially, before 2010, 12, something like that, maybe a little later. Beta 1 couldn't be a 24/7 game, frankly, because there's nothing, there would be nothing to do for every hour of those 24 times 7 days. There would be, you could craft, certainly, but without a steady population, you would be bored a lot. Plus, we wouldn't run the servers that long because that's expensive. Frankly, it would cost us more to run the servers than it 24/7 for the rest of Beta 1 than the package price of our lowest package per person. We'd quickly burn through what you folks have donated on the smaller size package. Servers are expensive. They may not be as expensive as they used to be, but when you cloud it, they're not cheap. So not a chance, not for Beta 1. Now, could we do a whole weekend? Absolutely. But 24/7, not happening. Not certainly for any big stretch.
Odilvik says, IOG asks, what does CSE think the median weekly playtime is going to be, and if or how that has influenced design decisions? Examples welcome.
I wish I had time for that. I can answer that fairly quickly, though. At least a short answer. So a lot of that's going to be determined as we move forward. If we have a very compelling game, I think we're going to see people playing certainly more than you would in a typical MMO once you reach a certain point in the game. Because as you know from playing MMOs, you get the initial flood and everyone wants to play and everyone wants to play a lot, and then it settles down to a much more normal amount of concurrency or ratio of concurrency to subscriptions. And subscriptions per server, not overall, blah, blah, blah. If we do our jobs right, then I think we'll have more compelling things to keep people playing more in the beginning than they might in some other MMOs, but we'll just have to see. Now, how has that influenced our decision? The specific numbers haven't. Like, hey, I think everyone's going to play 20 hours per week versus 24 or 40, whatever the numbers are. That's not what we're focusing on. We're focusing on making a great game and get that right first. And if we can't do that, then it doesn't matter what we thought about how many hours people will play, because they won't. 5 minutes, folks.
Yes, 5-minute warning. Let's see. T. Vermod asks, are there any dark clouds we should be aware of? MJ never hides bad stuff, but are there any problematic areas you can see already to fix during Beta 1?
No. Yes, you're right. I would be happy to tell you folks. For better or worse, I always do. No, nothing problematic at all. We've got building destruction in. We've got stability working. We have to obviously test it out across a lot of network buildings, not just the handfuls. Server performance overall has been great. Client performance has been great. New lighting is great. Animations are coming along. No big, no big dark and deep clouds. Again, I would be more than happy to tell you folks if we had them, but no, we're just nicely clocking along. I mean, authentication, frankly, could have been a dark cloud. That could have been something that if it had gone wrong right from the beginning, we could have been down a week or more. So, no, all good.
Let's see. T. Vermont also asks, what will the biggest difference be between us now doing crafting versus the later crafter class doing the same?
Fantastic. Great question. Let's end on that. Right. So a lot of things. Let's start with the most obvious one, which is how you gather materials. Right now you go to a tent. That's a great substitute for the real game because it doesn't make you go into mines. It doesn't make you chop down trees. It doesn't make you do any of that stuff. We wanted to and will continue to, certainly over the next few months, allow you guys and gals to do that because it really does allow you to stress the crafting system more. So that'll be the first change. Second change, certainly the amount of time that it takes to do things right now is not realistic. It's ridiculously fast as we want it to be. I want things ridiculously fast for quite a while because it's not trying to get the times right now is just stupid. It really is dumb. There's no reason to worry about it. The smart thing is to do what we're doing now, is build a system that allows us easily to tweak the times that it takes, but to allow you folks to do as much as you can in a short period, including stress the system. So that's the second thing. The UI. The UI is a great little placeholder that MeHuge did with some help from JB. We've got another version that we actually have been talking about today that looks great. So that will be updated in the coming weeks, hopefully. But by the time we go live, there'll be another, I am sure, iteration on it. There will certainly be a lot more to craft, even though, quite frankly, there's already a lot of items to craft. There'll be a hell of a lot more. There'll also be infusions will be working, and infusions will be working as well during beta, just not yet. That's not a technical issue. It's a matter of us getting everything else right before we start messing with infusions. What else? Certainly, the Vox will be different. It will look different, and you'll have different configuration options. What you see now is not even an alpha version, or maybe a very early alpha version of the Vox. You know, having the Vox right for Beta 1 was not important. We said that right from the beginning. We said, you know, being able to craft, even if you folks remember, with slash commands was what we said we would have for Beta 1. Well, obviously we're well beyond that. So that will be happening for the live game, but certainly well before the live game. What else? Expect more surprises during crafting, both good and bad. No epic failures, though. I've been very clear about that. Nothing where you would lose all your stuff, because I think that's a little unnecessary. What else? For your crafter class, just as I discussed, I think it was the first question today, the bounty system, the equivalent for crafters, that will be in. What else? Well, certainly as your own class, you'll have your own. You know, have to create a character that will be a separate crafter class, and so you'll have gear as well that you can get. You can make lock boxes and sell them for people, and we'll be selling them too. And has anybody objected to this yet in chat, which would mean they're actually paying attention to what I'm saying?
They're talking about how you could literally explode from a crafting failure.
But no, there of course won't be lock boxes or anything like that. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers a lot of the the differences between now and what you'll be seeing. Not even at live, you'll be seeing it certainly later in Beta 1. Our goal for Beta 1 is still to get as many classes in as we possibly can, maybe all of them if things are going very well, maybe less if they aren't going quite as well, but we'll see. We certainly want to get a crafter class in at some point relatively early in Beta 1, not because it really makes a difference, quite frankly, to you folks in terms of your ability to test, because you'll be able to do that anyway. It's just a question of having the game feel more like a game. So, we want that to happen as well. So look, that's it. We're testing now. Tim, how are we looking?
Good. I was about to ask you to let me.
Yes. Why don't we let him in? So we're still running the 1200 bot test?
Yep.
Great. Alphas, Beta 1s, jump into Nuada Prep. We've got 1200 bots running around for you guys and gals to interact with, to see the engine, to see the things that, frankly, we're doing really well. And over the next few months, you'll see that we can actually make a game really well as we start to knock off, one by one, the other tech things that we needed done. Authentication was one. We're moving along nicely with number 2, which is Coherent, which is the whole pull out the Ceph UI, Ceph-based UI, and sub in the great coherent system for the basis of our UI. And then, of course, the big one, the granddaddy of the tech issues for the first quarter, or for this quarter, the 64-bit client. So step number 1 was the authentication system. Next comes Coherent, and after that, or at the same time, depending on scheduling and how long things take, 64-bit client. So all good, folks. Again, we're excited. We think it's going to be a very interesting fall and winter, and we'll have other updates. I expect over the next couple months that will be interesting as well. So as always, let me thank you for your patience. Let me thank you for your support, and hopefully I'll see a bunch of you in the game in the next few minutes. And remember, kill me as often as you can, because after all, that makes a day complete. What was the old TV commercial? A day without orange juice is like a day without sunshine. A day without killing MJ in Camelot Unchained is like a day without success. So I'll see you in there, and I'll send out an email as well about weekend testing. So that's it. Have a great weekend, folks, and I'll see you shortly. Bye.
See you later.